Hi everyone, and welcome to Chapter M2. In our last chapter, we learned the language of managerial accounting. We learned how to classify all the different costs a manufacturer has into three buckets: direct materials, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead. But just knowing what a cost is isn't enough. The real goal of managerial accounting is to figure out how much does it cost us to make one specific product. Now, the reason we want to know that is so we know how to price it, so we don't want to lose money. And the first step to doing this is knowing how much it costs us to produce. So how do we attach all of those materials, labor, and overhead costs to a single item we're trying to sell? The answer is it depends on what you're making. In managerial accounting, there are two major systems for costing products. The first that we're focusing on in this chapter is job order costing, and the second is process costing. This video is all about understanding the critical difference between these two systems and, more importantly, when to use each one. First, let's talk about job order costing. This system is used when a company produces unique, custom, or built-to-order products. Every job is different than the one before it, and the goal is to find the cost of that specific job. Last week, we held an entrepreneurship conference here on campus. We had a panel of local business owners, which included a landscaper and a painter, and they were asked what skills were vital for their success. One of the skills that they mentioned was job costing. Why? Because for them, every single job is different, and knowing how much that job cost them is integral to them being a successful business person. The Miller's Backyard Patio is a unique job with different plants and labor than the downtown office repaint. They must be able to track the specific cost for each individual job to know if they're actually making a profit. There are other examples all around us. For example, a custom home builder, an auto repair shop, a hospital, because every patient stay is a unique job with different costs. In all of these cases, we needed a way to track the specific cost for each individual job. And the tool we use to do that, which we'll see in this chapter, is called the job cost sheet. Now, the other main system is called process costing. This system is used when a company mass produces large quantities of identical items. Think of a company like Coca-Cola. They make millions of cans of Coke that are exactly the same. Or think of a company that makes gasoline or paper or red bricks. In this case, does Coca-Cola care about the cost of one specific can of Coke? Or in other words, do we care how much labor went into that one specific can? No, of course not. That would be impossible and pointless to track. They're producing millions of these things. We're not going to track each individual can. Instead, they care more about the average cost per can. So they're going to take all of their manufacturing costs for the entire month, all of the aluminum, all of the syrup, water, and factory costs, and divide it by the millions of cans they produced to get the average cost per can. It's a completely different approach used for a different type of product, but it's not the system we'll be focusing on in this chapter. So that's the big difference, and it's a pretty simple one. Job order costing tracks individual costs to specific jobs or products. And we can do that because each job or product is unique, and we need to know the cost for that specific product. If your products, though, are identical and mass-produced, we care more about the average cost, and that is called process costing. So for this chapter, we are going to focus exclusively on job order costing, and we're going to learn how to do exactly what those entrepreneurs on campus said was so vital for their success: figure out the true cost of a specific job. So in future videos, we are going to look at how do we track these costs with the job cost sheet, what goes on the job cost sheet, for example, direct labor, direct materials, how do we allocate overhead, and how do we come up with that final number of how much did this job actually cost us.